Hello, and welcome back to the Holistic Frugivore podcast, where we learn how to heal the body from within. I'm so excited to have you here. And I skipped last week and I've had a lot going on. So now I am back with episode 2 of season 2. And we're getting deeper into regenerative detox and what all that means, and just diving into the deeper aspects of how we can heal ourselves and what role we play in the collective healing and the self evolution. Today I want to talk about the 3 stages of healing. And once we come into the awareness that we're able to do this work on our own, and we often simply need someone to guide us along the way, then we understand how our knowledge and self-responsibility in healing ourselves will shift your entire life. And next week, I will be talking about self-responsibility and the power to heal. But today, let's talk about the 3 stages of healing, and those are cleansing, regeneration, and maintenance. So there's different ways that you can approach your nutrition and wellness. And often when we talk nutrition in mainstream world, it comes down to a lot of calorie counting, weight management, how the body looks, and the scale. And it's very focused on weight and image more than the actual function of your body. And the main point of why are you overweight? Why are you working or dealing with these conditions? Why do you feel so terrible all the time? Why is your confidence so low? All of this comes back to the inner function of your body, the blockages within your energy centers from past traumas and woundings, the stagnation of your digestive and lymphatic systems, which then build up and become chronic and acute and create disease. And that can even start before you're even born, that our lymphatic system is carried down from our mothers. We get our mother's lymphatic system. So we can literally be born with a poor functioning lymphatic system. And I have that personal story with my first son. I can see so clearly that was definitely my unhealthy pregnancy, my first pregnancy. You know, we always go into parenting and pregnancy and all that, not really knowing that much, or we think we know, doctors think they know, and then we see that it's really not a healthy way in which I did all the things of a healthy pregnancy, or what I thought was a healthy pregnancy, because I was a personal trainer at the time. And it turns out pretty much everything that I did was the wrong thing. So we had issues with our first son. Now he's 8 today, actually. And his health has completely done a 360 because we focused on him being high fruit, no vaccines. We get outside all the time. Just the focus on the self and the inner healing has made him a very healthy child. All 3 of them, but him in particular, because I know what I gave him from birth. And I see his certain sinus issues, because that's what I had. My other 2 children didn't deal with that sinusitis stuff. The very strong reaction to dairy. We all have a reaction to dairy, but some is more obvious than others. And it's just that awareness of how impactful our nutrition is and how it really does. It affects everything. So when we have doctors and stuff not acknowledging how important the right diet is to healing conditions, then they're missing a huge part of the puzzle. They're simply trying to treat the symptoms with medications or whatever it is, or trying to deal with this, or, you know, focusing on the symptoms alone and not considering everything else about your lifestyle that contribute to that. So, stage 1 is cleansing. So, the first step toward this full body nutritional healing is first cleansing the system. That's step 1, because over time, over your lifetime, you have built up the congestion and obstructions within your systems that now need to be removed. So this cleansing process can often be the most jarring, because it starts to strip away all of the congestion of your system. And this is the part that can kind of break down your body a little bit. And I don't mean break down as in hurt. It strips down when you start to cleanse, and it pulls, it's pulling all of the um, lymphatic fluids and congestion that is kind of, it's almost binding certain tissues together because of the sticky matter of it. So when it starts to be stripped away, it can make you look a little sick in the process. And there's a certain amount of weakening of the body that can come with the cleansing. It just depends on how severe your dis-ease is. Like, the more serious the issues you're trying to heal through, the deeper you're really going to have to dive into the cleansing process. Now, you don't necessarily have to go all in and really hardcore this way of like, doing things like fasting would be one of the key ways of cleansing. Doing a fast, because once you're not eating, once you do this fasting period, that allows the body to not be focused on trying to digest foods, and it allows the body to cleanse out all the obstructions, any congestion within the digestive system. It helps to get the lymphatic system moving, the kidneys filtering. That's the goal, is kidney filtration, lymphatic movement, cleaning out the colon. And then we begin to get the organs functioning the way that they're supposed to. That's really the root of, I mean, colon, kidney, lymphatic is really at the root of pretty much all disease, I would say, or at least most of it. You can link back to those things. And those are the first things, but then it starts to work its way backward. You know, it starts with the colon, but then it starts to move as that gets congested and you're constipated. It starts to move upward, and then it begins to hurt the intestines, where you're getting over acidity from backing up your eliminations. That starts to break away the intestines, and then it moves up into the stomach, and then it comes up into the esophagus. You know, it all works backwards. So the more obvious symptoms is actually a much more progressed deterioration of your body. So that's the longer it's going to take for you to get into it. So patience is key, because you have to understand how long it's taken you to get to this point of illness, and it's going to take a while to be able to reverse it as well. That's why this type of regenerative detox is so beneficial, because you're really going all in with going all fruits and herbs and doing fasts to break away all of that congestion in your body. It can be a struggle along the way, which is fine. It will be a struggle. but your illness and disease is a struggle as well. So you're not going to be able to get out of your suffering without having to deal with some struggles along the way. And that's part of our kind of journey as a human to be able to have the strength to push through these things and to get out to the other side where you can say that you are healed and no longer sick. So that's cleansing, being able to fast, doing all fruits is a really benefit, but it's called a fruit feast. Just doing like a mono fruit feast. So just all mangoes or all grapes or all watermelon, or if you can just do just fruits. I mean, anything where you're eliminating the heavy foods that keep congesting your system, anything that's hard for your body to digest, the sticky foods, the foods that are hard on your kidneys, like your meats and proteins, the foods that are sticky and clog up your GI, like your grains. That's why we focus on fruit, because that is our species-specific diet and the most nourishing and cleansing to your system. So simply eating fruits and fruits alone will help cleanse. And then you're going a little bit further by doing mono fruits, and then you're going a little bit further by being able to juice fast, and you're going even further with being able to water fast. And then fasting, even if you're still eating certain meals, like fruit meals and stuff, the longer times you can go as like an intermittent fast allows a longer period of time for your body to be detoxifying. So say only eating between noon and 8 during the day, and then you're allowing like a 16-hour fast. So even one meal a day. I know I've often kind of just gone to one meal a day for the most part, and that's been really beneficial. That's been something I've done for the last several months, kind of naturally getting into that. You don't want to restrict yourself so much to where you feel like you're starving yourself or it's getting so difficult, because that alone is really harsh on your energy, and the emotional aspects of it and the stress and anxiety. And you don't want to bring yourself into that emotional baggage either. You want to be able to allow a little bit of intuitive guidance, but also push yourself a little bit to where you know you need to push past your barriers of comfort. And that's why I'm doing the work that I'm doing with being a frugivore transition coach to help you simply step into eating a fruit-based diet, and also a detox coach to be able to walk you through the stages of detox and what to expect along the way, and be able to have someone there to hold your hand when you get to the struggles and understand that what the things that come up are a normal part of the process. It's not just a physical thing. It's an emotional thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's a mental thing. It's all encompassing. It's an all-encompassing journey. It's not just nutrition, and it's not just about the physical body. Okay. So it's important to really remember that it's not just about your weight or calories, because that's the secondary benefit. That naturally will follow once you focus on the inner healing work. The outer will naturally follow. That's just a secondary benefit, but it's not the primary focus. Okay, so once we get through the cleansing, then is the regeneration process. And with the regeneration process, we often kind of see between cleansing and regeneration is where we often see things like the healing crises, where like a sort of bronchitis or pneumonia is a common one that comes up. Certain tumors or whatever that can come around the body, a lot of acne, moles. When everything's trying to eliminate the body, everything's trying to, anything that's within your body, like your worms and fungus and anything that's been built up within you, as you begin to cleanse and detox, all of that's going to start to come out. It's going to start to be eliminated. So that comes out in really harsh ways. And that is what we see as disease and illness. That's what these illnesses are. They're methods of the body's detoxification process. And with medications and other, the foods we eat and stuff like that, it stops the process. So, like, the best thing to do when you're sick in any capacity, if you're aware of your detox or not, if you are sick, the best thing you can do for sickness is to fast, whether it be on water or fruit, water, juice, or just fruits. But the best thing, even if you look at the animal world, if an animal is sick, they're not eating. They naturally know not to eat. And I've noticed that with my dog and my cat. If they throw up or whatever, they don't eat for a while. Because that's the natural, that's our intuitive approach to let the body rest and heal. Because it does take energy, exertion, and work to digest food. So by taking that away, we're not starving ourselves. That's a very emotional attachment we have to the idea of having to have certain foods. It's a lot of addictive behavior and emotional comfort. And when we step away from that and just understand the intuitive function of how we're behaving, it starts to feel right. I have a history of addictive food behaviors and issues, binging behaviors. So I come from a place of understanding how that feels. And I still every day have to struggle certain binging behaviors and a poor relationship with food in general. So I'm empathetic for that situation. And I also understand how important it is, this process in particular, to people who have dealt with that, because it allows you to work through a lot of the traumas and issues that have brought you to that situation. Like, there's always a reason for every behavior that you have. There's some sort of core as to why you behave the way you do. And during a detoxification process, a lot of the emotional baggage comes up. And there's a lot of spiritual transcendence and awakening that happens as well. Because as you clean out our vessel and purify the body, cleansing it out, the more you open up all of your energy centers and create a much more clean and direct connection to the divine and our source and where we come from and our higher self. And there's a lot of healing that comes with that journey. And it's a very individual journey for all of us, but it's a very powerful one. And that's really where my spiritual journey began, was starting to shift my diet. And it kind of was a roller coaster from there. So the regeneration is where, after cleansing, we're removing all of the stuff, all the stagnation, getting the organs cleaned out. And then the body can begin to regenerate at a cellular level. We rebuild. And it's amazing to begin to understand how self-regulating the human body is. Our physical body is a self-healing mechanism. Just think about how quickly your body heals. You break a bone, you cut your arm, some of the most serious injuries, sometimes with a little help with surgery or something like that, the body will heal itself if you give it the time and the right rest and support. It will heal itself. And that's only on the external. But the internal does the same thing. We just don't see it. It's hard to sometimes grasp, because we don't see it the same way that you see your skin heal back together after you cut it. But you're doing the same thing. And then the regeneration process can take a while as well. I mean, this can be a years of journey of cleaning and regenerating before we get to the last phase, which is the maintenance. And once you get to the maintenance phase, it's just having a general awareness of knowing the foods that are beneficial, knowing the foods that your body doesn't like, knowing the foods that will congest you again. And then it begins, this is the point where you begin, not begin, this is the point where you have a intuitive guidance for your nutrition. This is the point where you are understanding what feels good, listening to what your body is telling you, seeing the signs of disease before it progresses to a very serious state. Once you get through this process, you'll know how much more sensitive you are to certain foods. And that may seem like a bad thing to you, but it's also very beneficial because now it shows that your body is at a very cleansed and purified state to where you can noticeably see when you're eating something or taking in something or putting something on your skin that your body doesn't like and doesn't jive with. Because usually we get to this state of illness by ignoring a lot of those signs. And at a certain point, you suppress it all. And one of the most common ways I've seen this justified is by offering certain foods to babies early so that their body adapts to it. No. What you're doing is you're teaching the body to not show signs of detox. You're congesting the system. Things like dairy and grains are the prime example. When a baby, when you're introducing something like that to a child and they have a strong reaction, that's because that food isn't meant for humans. It's that simple. And if you ignore symptoms of that, like the skin issues, the eczemas, all the GI issues, throwing up, stuff like that, any of those symptoms of the body trying to eliminate that from it, you're beginning to congest that body. And you see how it starts at such a young age for babies. And conventional formula is one of the first things often. Even in breast milk sometimes, if the mother is eating a pretty bad diet, you can notice it through that as well. I mean, it starts at such a young age of congesting up the baby. And things like our colic, that's symptoms of disease. That's not normal. Your baby shouldn't just be crying all the time. That's because something that they're having is hurting their body. Formula is a really top one. I mean, none of those formulas are good for babies. Are they helpful for certain situations? Yes, but in general, pretty much all formulas are congesting to the system. So it starts at a very young age, and then you begin to even not notice it as much because it's already deteriorating the body, and a lot of the symptoms are so progressed that they're justified or normalized or suppressed with certain drugs or whatever it is. So the awareness is key. Awareness is step one. And then movement, taking the steps to do the work. Cleansing, regeneration, and maintenance. Those are our stages of healing. Thanks for listening today, and I will be back next week with self-responsibility and how to empower your self-healing. Thanks, guys. Love you. See you next time.